Hello students, this is the continuation part of a nervous system. Okay, so have a review once. So what is nervous system? This nervous system is nothing but is a coordinating system. It's coordinating the organs, isn't it? No. So and which is made up of a specialized cells that we call neurons and the supporting cells that we call neuroglia. And the nervous system is going to be divided into mainly two types. One is a central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system which have the brain and the spinal cord, whereas peripheral nervous system having the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. Yesterday we learned regarding the brain, isn't it? No, what are the parts of the brain and what are the function of each part. So this is what the brain system, right? No, and see, yesterday we discussed it is, see, this is a two hemispheres, right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, and that should have some convoluted structure that we call gyre, the bulging shape, and what is the involuting shape that we call sulcus, isn't it? No, and have the so many structures, that is cerebrum, cerebellum, and what else, midbrain, isn't it? No, in that they'll have a diencephalon, pons, isn't it? So that are the parts of the brain. Today we'll discuss is a further continuation part of the nervous system. Okay, in this class we'll learn what is the covering layers of the brain. Okay, mainly is some very special structure will come, that is a meninges, cerebrospinal fluid, and today we'll discuss regarding the spinal cord also, and the cranial nerves, spinal nerves, and autonomic nervous system. Clear? No? So this is all the today's topic. Okay, let's start. The protection of the central nervous system. Okay, mainly we can say the scalp and the skin, then skull and vertebral column, and the meninges. Okay, see, this is what the scalp here. Okay, the bone like structure we call the periosteum, or we can say the scalp. On that we have a airy structure that we call the hairs, isn't it? No, so this is we call scalp and the skin, the first layer. The next will come skull, isn't it? No, also called the periosteum, and the vertebral column. In the back side we have a vertebral column, isn't it? No, so that also protects the spinal cord. And next one is a meninges. Is very important. They might ask in the examination, what is meninges? Okay, see, meninges is a protective layer that protects the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, that sometimes so that is meninges is composed of three layers: dura mater, okay, dura mater, arachnoid, and pia mater. So dura mater, we can say the mother layer of the brain. Okay, that is protects like a mother. Okay, so that's we call dura mater. Okay, I will show you, just you have a view once. Okay, have you seen here? See, this is what the skin of the scalp. There is a periosteum, and this is what the structure we can see. There's a bone of the skull. Okay, then the three layer is a very important layer. It will come, see, 1, 2, 3, that we call meninges. Okay, we can see this is what the brain is. Today we discussed about the brain, isn't it? No, see the gray matter and the white matter. Okay, so in the brain, for this, see how much protecting layer we are seeing here. Okay, now we'll see one by one. Meninges. So meninges is a protecting layer for the both brain and the spinal cord, which is composed of three layers mainly. One is a dura mater. Okay, then the second is a arachnoid layer and the pia mater. How much? Dura mater, second one is a arachnoid, third one is a pia mater. Okay, okay. Dura mater, this is what a double layer is, a external covering. Okay, so that is first covering is a periosteum, second one is a meningeal layer. Periosteum is, peri means what? Peri means wholesome, whole means whole. Okay, not whole means not whole, is a whole means WHOLE. completing entire, we can say. Okay, ostia means is a bone. That is, this layer is covering attached to the bone, so attached to the surface of the skull, that we call periosteum. And the second one is a meningeal layer, outer covering of the brain, that we call meningeal layer. Together we can say dura mater. Just you say dura mater, it is a outermost layer of a meninges, okay, and each covered with a double layer, that we saw periosteum and the meningeal layer. That is enough, and that also fold inwards in the several areas. Okay, I will show you. Just you should have a theoretical view, then I will show with a diagram. Okay, second one is a arachnoid layer. So this is arachnoid layer, is a middle layer and is like a web-like structure. Okay, between the dura mater and pia mater we get this arachnoid layer. Okay, is a web-like structure. Next one is the last layer is a pia mater, that is internal layer, clings to the surface of the brain, is very closer to the brain. Okay, this is called pia mater. Have you seen this image? No? Now we'll see what you are observing. Okay, this is dura mater. As I told before, that is consist of the two layers, isn't it? One is a periosteum layer. See, that is attached, very dark brown color, no? That is attached to the skull. The next one is a meningeal layer. Okay, so together we call dura mater. Now we'll see is a violet blue, dark blue, no? This is web-like structure. Have you seen? Isn't it, no? It's a web-like structure that we call arachnoid mater. Then the sky blue color, that is cling into the brain itself, that is very close to brain. The sky blue color that we call pia mater. So these three together we call meninges. What is the function of the meninges? To protect the brain and the spinal cord. Understood? Okay. So after meninges, we'll see the cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, as we discussed, the protecting or covering layer of a brain and spinal cord is the first one is, what is that? Skull. Second one is a meninges, and next covering layer is a CSF. Otherwise we can say cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, cerebrospinal fluid. So have you seen the sky blue color here? Isn't it, no? That's going to be giving a very cushion-like feeling to the brain. Okay, that have a pressure also. Okay, this covering layer we can see, sky blue color. It is complete. It is continue as such. That's we called the cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, cerebrospinal fluid or CSF is a clear, colorless and transparent fluid that circulates through ventricles of the brain, subarachnoid space and central canal of the spinal cord. Okay, means see, the cerebrospinal fluid is a very clear. Okay, it's clear like a water, colorless. Okay, and very transparent fluid that going to be circulate through the ventricles. Ventricles means is having some cavities. Okay, I will show you in the next slides what is ventricles. Okay, the ventricles means is a halo shape or the chamber within the brain. Okay, where the central nerve, where the CSF is going to be produced. Okay, that we call ventricles of the brain. And the subarachnoid space, I will tell you what do you mean by subarachnoid space, and the central canal of the spinal cord is going to be circulated through it. Okay, and it is the part of an extracellular fluid. We know the intracellular fluid and extracellular fluid, isn't it? No, so this is a CSF is one of the extracellular fluid. Understood? So now we'll see what are the properties now. So volume usually 150 ml. Okay, how much? What is the quantity of the cerebrospinal fluid in the body? It is a 150 ml, and the specific gravity is 1.005, and the reaction is alkaline. It's not acidic, it's a alkaline. Okay, then what is the lymphocytes which present in the CSF? It is 6 cubic millimeter. Okay, this is what the properties of a cerebrospinal fluid. So what are the functions of a cerebrospinal fluid? First one is, as I told before, is a protection. that protect the brain and the spinal cord. And second function is the bouncy, which gives, so any accident or any hitting of the head, that gives them a bouncy protection to the brain, isn't it? No, so that's called one second function is a bouncy. Then excretion of the waste products. Okay, during the circulation, that going to be excrete the waste products, isn't it? No, so any drugs or any metabolic waste, that going to be excrete through this fluid. Okay, cerebrospinal fluid. And one more is the ventricles. So very simple. So these are the cerebrospinal fluid filled cavities in the brain. So they're just as a cavities. Okay. Don't bother what is ventricles. See, ventricles are the cavities within the brain that collects the CSF. It's very simple. Okay. The lateral ventricle found in the cerebrum. So one of the name for the ventricles, lateral ventricle, is laterally present. For that we say lateral ventricle found in the cerebrum. Then the third ventricle in the center of the thalamus and the hypothalamus. The fourth ventricle, which is located in the base of the cerebellum. Okay, so that we have the third ventricle, fourth ventricle. As in it, these are the ventricles, is nothing but the cavities is going to be filled with the CSF. That's it. Now we are going to discuss regarding spinal cord. Okay, spinal cord is extension from the medulla oblongata. Extension from the brain, we can say. Okay, spinal cord is extends from the medulla oblongata to the region of T12. I will tell you what do you mean by T12. See, T12 and all is the spinal nerves. So we can see here, this is we call medulla oblongata. From here is extension structure till the T12, that we call spinal cord. T12 is nothing but a thoracic nerve. Okay, so from the T12, okay, the leading structure we call the, what is that? Cauda equina. Okay, cauda equina we can say. So from the medulla oblongata till the T12, the structure we call spinal cord is very important structure in the body. And below T12 is a cauda equina, is a collection of spinal nerves. Okay, cauda equina is nothing but is a collection of spinal nerves, and enlargements occur in the cervical and the lumbar region. Is any, we can see enlargement in the cervical. I will show you. Okay, some enlargement. Have you seen some bulky structure? This we call enlargement, where in the cervical and the lumbar region, isn't it? No, so I will show you. I will tell you. Is simple. Spinal cord is an extension structure from the brain or medulla oblongata till the T12, that we call spinal cord. Understood? Okay. And totally we have 31 pairs of spinal nerves. How much? 31 pairs of spinal nerves. We can see here, no? C8, that we call cervical spinal nerves. Keep it in mind, is very important. Okay, how much? C8, and the cervical spinal nerves are 8 in number. Then thoracic spinal nerves, there are 12 in numbers, and the lumbar spinal nerves are 5 in number, and the spinal nerve is 1. And the cochlear, spinal nerves is a 5 in number, and last nerve is there that we call cochlear nerve. Here not I mentioned, this is last tail, that we call cochlear nerve, that is 1 in number. So totally just calculate. C8 is 8 plus thoracic is a 12, 8 plus 12 plus lumbar is a 5 plus spinal nerve is a 5 plus 1. How much? 8 plus 12 plus 5 plus 5 plus 1. Total is a 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Is that clear? So as we all know, for the brain, is the outer layer is a grey matter, inner layer is a white matter. But the spinal cord is a different. This is main different. You should notice. Okay, for the spinal cord, outer layer is a white matter, whereas inner layer is a grey matter. Have you seen the white matter outside? Have you seen the out matter is a white color that we called white matter. Inside layer is a gray matter. But in the brain is different, isn't it? No? Have a difference here. See? But in the brain, outer layer is a gray matter, inner layer is a white matter. But the spinal cord is outer layer is a white matter, inner layer is a gray matter. This is what the difference. Clear, no? Okay, then inner layer is a gray matter, mostly is a cell body. Okay, then we have some structures here, dorsal horn and the anterior horn. Okay, this is all you can understand, but you just know these things is enough. Okay, very simple. For the brain, is the outer layer is a gray matter, inner is a white, whereas in the spinal cord, outer layer is a white matter, inner is a gray matter. It's very simple. Okay. And also, the central canal is filled with the cerebrospinal fluid. Have you seen the central canal here? The hole that is filled with the cerebrospinal fluid. Now we'll see classification of nerves. Okay, so there are the mixed nerves are there. That means both sensory and the motor nerves. We all know we are using the sensory neurons and the motor neurons. Okay, that we call mixed nerves. Means sensory means it carries all the sense impulse, all smell, some sounds. This is carry from the environment to the brain, isn't it? No, then we can say it's a bird sound or some TV noise, television noise and all that we call the sensory nerves. Then next one is a motor nerves or fibers. Motor means what? We are sitting, standing, running, that all carried by the motor nerves. Okay, then also some of the two nerves are present, that is afferent nerves and efferent nerves. Afferent, okay, sensory nerves is also called as a afferent nerves. Motor nerve also called as a efferent nerves, means this sensory nerves that carry the impulses towards the central nervous system, means from the environment to the central nervous system, to the brain. Whereas efferent means it is carry the impulses from the brain to the body organs. Understood? No? Just clear. Once again, you just listen. Afferent nerves is also called as a sensory nerves. These nerves carry the impulses towards the central nervous system, means brain. Whereas efferent means carry the impulses away from the brain. This is towards the brain, this is away from the brain. This is very distinguished characteristics. Understood? Okay, these are the classification of the nerves. Why is important means in the cranial nerves we'll have that have a sensory and the motor nerves. Okay, now in next class we'll discuss regarding the cranial nerves. Okay. Cranial nerves means the nerves is extended from the brain itself. Okay, have you see here? So many nerves are coming from the brain itself. Now this is we call cranial nerves. There are 12 pairs of nerves that mostly serve the head and neck. Then numbered in order front to back. Most are mixed nerves. Means what? Mixed means sensory and the motor. But only the 3 nerves are there, that is only sensory. I will show you. See, this is we call cranial nerves. This is 12 in number, whereas the spinal nerves are in 31 pairs, isn't it? No, 31 spinal nerves, 12 are the cranial nerves. This is very, very important question in the exam, in the practical exam also. Clear, no? Okay. There are the 12 pairs of cranial nerves. That is C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, C8, C9, C10, C11, C12. You should remember these names. Is very important. Olfactory, optic, oculomotor nerve, trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, facial, vestibulocochlear or auditory nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve, vagus nerve, accessory nerve and the hypoglossal nerve. Clear, no? So once again, first we can say C1. Okay, cranial nerve. The we give a small name like the usually we named has it CN1. What is that? CN1 means cranial nerve 1, that is olfactory nerve. This is both. Olfactory means what? Smell. Isn't it? No, this is only is a purely sensory organ. Okay, is a sensory for smell. Is a sensory nerve. Okay, optic nerve sensory for vision. And the oculomotor nerve, see the name itself says a motor, movement. So motor fiber to the eye muscles. And the trochlear is motor fiber to the eye muscles. And the trigeminal nerve is a sensory for the face, motor fibers to the chewing. Is both. Trigeminal is a both having the characteristic of a sensory also, motor also. Understood? See this olfactory, optic, these are the purely sensory in property, sensory in the characteristics, so sensory nerves. Whereas this trigeminal, okay, this is a purely both sensory and the motor in characteristics. The trochlear is a motor only, means it is help for the eye movement. Okay, eye muscles going to be moved, no? When the eye opening and close, that we call trochlear. Whereas the trigeminal nerve is a both sensory for face and motor fiber for the chewing muscles. And the abducent nerve is a motor fiber to the eye muscles. Okay, so next CN7. Seventh nerve is a facial nerve, means sensory for a taste, motor fiber to the face. Then the cranial nerve 8 we call vestibulocochlear nerve, means sensory for the balance and hearing. Next one is a ninth nerve is glossopharyngeal nerve, is a sensory for the taste, motor fiber for the pharynx. 10th one is a vagus nerve, is a sensory and a motor fiber for the pharynx, larynx and viscera. Whereas cranial nerves 11 is a accessory nerve, is a motor fiber to the neck and the upper back. Whereas last nerve of a cranial nerve is a 12, is a hypoglossal. Glossal is a tongue, isn't it? No? So the motor fiber to the tongue. So I will give you for us mnemonics for you, for your for the memory purpose. See, you can say like you can keep in memory like this. On old Olympus, towering top, a prince Viking grew, winds and hopes. Means O stand for olfactory, optical, oculomotor, trochlear, trigeminal, abducent, facial nerve, vestibulocochlear, glossopharyngeal, then the vagus, accessory nerve and hypoglossal nerve. For the memorization purpose, we can use this mnemonic device. Understood now? Is clear? Okay, now we'll see together once. I will show you in detail. Okay, see, these are the cranial nerves. Okay, these are the cranial nerves. It is cervical nerves. Okay, thoracic nerves, lumbar nerves, sacral nerves. This all belongs to the spinal nerves. But last slide we discussed regarding the cranial nerves. There are how much? 12 pairs of nerves. Now we'll discuss regarding the spinal nerves. Previous slides, again I will repeat again. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves and 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Okay, now we'll see what are the spinal nerves. See, this is what the spinal cord, isn't it? No, there are the C8, T12, L5, S5 and the last one is a cochleal, we can say C1. Clear? Understood? These are the spinal nerves. And the last topic of this unit is a periphery nervous system. Peripheral nervous system, isn't it? No. So this now we the last class and till the last slide we discussed regarding all the central nervous system, means all about the brain, spinal cord, their parts and the nerves, isn't it? No. And now we'll see the second part of a nervous system is a peripheral nervous system. Clear? What do you mean by peripheral? See, the peripheral nervous system is a collection of the peripheral nerves, ganglia, and specialized sensory structures that as a system carries sensory and motor informations between the central nervous system and all other organs and tissues of the body. This peripherally means what? Boundary. I will show you once again. See, this is what the peripheral nervous system. So you can have a difference here. Okay, don't make messy and don't make confusion. Okay, understood clearly by observing this picture. Okay, look here. See, the nerves come from the brain that we call cranial nerves. Okay, the nerves is coming from the spinal cord, this order spinal nerves, whereas the adjoints from the endings. No, see here, some of the spinal nerve roots, brachial plexus, lumbar plexus. Plexus means what? Like very bushy structure. All the small, all the ending part of the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves, we have some roots. So many blue color. Have you seen this? This is we call peripheral. Peripheral means what? Outside. The ending structure of this nervous system that we call peripheral nervous systems. Okay, understood? No, it's clear. See, the main nerves we can give names like a cranial nerve, spinal nerves, but the ending structure of those nerves, okay, that we call peripheral nervous system. Example for the nerves is spinal nerve roots, brachial plexus, lumbar plexus, sacral plexus, sacral plexus, etc. Understood? No. For example, I will give you one structure, brachial plexus. See, identified here, brachial plexus. Where is that? Yeah, very good. This is what the brachial plexus for a arm. Brachial region. Then radial nerves, medial nerves, ulnar nerves. All the nerves that we call the peripheral nerves. Understood? Okay, understood, right? So, in the peripheral nervous system, we have an autonomic nervous system and the somatic nervous system, isn't it? No. As we all know, in the autonomic nervous system, we have very important two divisions, that is sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. First, we'll see what do you mean by autonomic nervous system. Very simple. It's a part of the peripheral nervous system that innervates the cardiac muscle, smooth muscle, gland functionally. Okay, glands. Clear? Once again. See, the autonomic nervous system is a part of a peripheral nervous system. Okay, and that having the action on the cardiac muscle, smooth muscles and the glands. And mainly which have two parts, that is sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. See, observe carefully, is very important. They may ask in the exam, what do you mean by sympathetic and what do you mean by parasympathetic? You should understand very easily by next slide. Okay, I will show you. I will move next slide. First one is a sympathetic nervous system. Okay, means originates from the T1 to L2 or L3. T1 means what? Thoracic. Very good. L means lumbar. It is start from the thoracic to lumbar segments of the spinal cord. Also we called thoracolumbar. Okay, it is originated from the thoracolumbar region and is very important, utilized by the body for fight and fight response. Utilized by the body for flight and fight response. Just sympathetic is also called flight and fight response. Means what? For example, if you are suddenly step on the snake, what you will do? You run from that place, isn't it? No. If you run from the fight, means what? We are fearing. You are escaping there, isn't it? No. That we call flight and fight response, isn't it? No. Some by chance we are doing immediate action by seeing something. For example, if you are taking the bath, okay, you will take in a very hot water on your arm or legs. What you will do? You withdraw the legs. You withdraw your upper limbs, your hands, isn't it? No. That what we call sympathetic. you are feeling that, no, for example, I will tell you once again. You are you are walking on your street, okay, suddenly some lion or tiger in front of you. What you will see in that moment, you stop and you are watching that animal. You know what happened, you are sweating and you don't know what to do, you don't know what to do. See, that moment we call, no, flight and fight response. These things happening by this system that we call sympathetic system, clear, no, utilized by the body for flight and fight response. And neurotransmitters agents are epinephrine and norepinephrine. Along with the nervous system, some chemicals, they are helping in that, particularly that is what epinephrine and norepinephrine. Just don't bother of this, okay, just you think of this is enough. Okay, this is originated from the thoracolumbar region and it is utilized the body for a flight and fight response. Now we'll see what is the, see, this is we call sympathetic nervous system. Okay, so what happened if the sympathetic is works means, what are the response of the sympathetic nervous system means, which increases the heart rate. You know, if you are watching the tiger in front of you, what happened, suddenly you are sweating, respiration system, increasing your breathing, your BP is going to be high, heart rate also high, and visual acuity, what happened, pupillary is going to be dilated, and the smooth muscles, sphincters are very contracted. You know, you are twitching your hands and vasoconstriction is going to be happen and the metabolism is going to be increased. You need more glucose, more fatty acids, isn't it? Now these are the response of the sympathetic nervous system. Okay, and also what happened, decrease the peristalsis movement. You are not feeling any hungry inside, this we call the peristalsis movement, isn't it? No, and decrease you're feeling very thirsty, in your mouth very dry because of a salivary secretion, decrease in the salivary secretions, and ejaculation is going to be decreased, isn't it? No, this all the response of a sympathetic nervous system. Understood? Means at what moment your sympathetic is works. See, any fear movement, any anger movement, you are very pause in nature, okay, that we call sympathetic response. Now we'll see the continuation part, that is a parasympathetic nervous system. This is a cholinergic system, this is a vegetative system. Okay, the feed and breed response, so that is a whereas in the sympathetic is a flight and fight response, this is a feed and breed response. Means what, your body, once you escape from the situation, you feel very calm, very relaxed. Why? Because this parasympathetic system means once you run away from the tiger, once you take back your legs from the snake, after you feel what, oh my god, I'm safe. You know, you take a long, very deep breath, isn't it? No, all your tension is very free because of this parasympathetic system. Understood? No, that is what feed and breed response. Clear? So, and that includes the cranial nerves, CN3, CN7, CN9, CN10, and the S2 and S4. S2, S4 means what? What is S2 and S4 here? Yeah, spinal 2 and spinal 4. These cranial nerves, these are the 3-7 are the cranial nerves, and S2 and S4 is the spinal nerves. Clear? Understood? Okay. So what happened? What is the response of a parasympathetic system? So increase the gastric secretion. Okay, after what happened, you feel to go to washroom, because you have to pass the urine, because you are very relaxed. This is why, because of the parasympathetic nervous system, because due to the gastric secretion is happening, then you very feel relaxed. Till that you not feel anything, so increase the gastric secretions, and you feel very hungry also, so much hungry also. Then peristalsis movement is increased. Okay, and the salivary secretions also more here. So increase gastric secretion, increase salivary secretions, increase peristalsis movement. Okay, in the sympathetic nervous system, the pupillary is dilated, but in the parasympathetic nervous system, your pupillary reaction is constriction. What is pupil? In your eye, there is a small circular black color part that we call pupil. Understood? No, remember that things, isn't it? Then also decreased of smooth muscle tone, isn't it? Now your sphincter are relaxed. For that you feel what? Urgency, isn't it? Now then after, okay, only this much. Okay, but smooth muscles is going to be relaxed, pupillary is going to be constriction, all these actions is going to be increased. Okay, these are the parasympathetic responses. So by all this we wind up this class. Okay, understood? No, so see, just go slowly. Okay, you can want to rewind the slides, you can rewind. Okay, and it's very simple. If you understood, means it's very simple. Okay, you should know what are the classification of a nervous system first. You just do category. Okay, then after classification you go one by one. Okay, in the central nervous system you just read the brain and the spinal cord, and in the peripheral nervous system just focus on what do you mean by autonomic nervous system and what do you mean by in the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, both you just focus. And very importantly, you should know how to draw the brain structure. These are the small things only they will ask in the exam. Okay, and what are the cells which composed of a brain? You say neuron and the ganglions. As such, very simple, just you should understand the gross things very importantly, then it is easy for you to understand whole thing. Clear? No? And see, at any moment you feel confusion or any doubts, you can free feel to clarify in the group. Okay, otherwise you can call me directly. Okay, so see you in the next class. Thank you.